Hi there, I'm Nick Dimmock. I'm a Managing Director of 350 ppm. We're an incubator, accelerator and venture builder for clean tech businesses. So this is Green Deal episode 4. Sorry I've kept you waiting for so long. So the news is that the COPs, these conference of the parties, have been hijacked by the oil companies. It's all a complete joke. They've done this finance deal, 300 billion per year by 2035. One, they're never going to pay anyway. Two, even if they do pay, that will mostly go into the politicians' pockets. So it's an absolute farce. Basically, you need a global emissions trading system where the less developed countries get more permits to pollute, and that needs to go worldwide, off everything. Everybody can make some good money out of that. We can really get busy doing it, and that would work. I had very little faith that it was going to be any good. We did some work for SOCAR a while ago, myself and a Russian business. This is back in 2012, 2013. SOCAR is State Oil Company of Azerbaijan. And we got in there looking at their abandoned oil wells and also their low and medium pressure gas pipelines, which obviously feed all the gas back into storage for distribution or whatever they do with it. And the abandoned oil wells were abandoned, venting massive amounts of methane. The low and medium gas pipelines were creaking, venting methane left, right and centre. And I can't remember, but plugging the wells and dealing with the holes in the pipeline would have saved, I can't remember if it was 9 million tonnes a year. I think it was 9 million. I don't think it'd be 90 million tonnes a year. But look, it's methane, it's natural gas, it's CH4. So this stuff is 25 times as bad for the atmosphere as CO2. So anyway, we put our proposal to them, and they said, I think we first said, why don't you flare it? And they were like, oh, well, that's just a cost. Obviously not the pipelines, but on the abandoned oil wells, they could just flare it. And then the second, why don't you harvest it? And basically, then it's more gas. And their argument was, look, we got plenty of it. It comes out the ground. It's free at the source of extraction, and it just keeps on flowing. So what do we care? So there were some developments with this Article 6, which is showing a little bit of promise, but again, it's involved foreign developing governments, so most of the money will probably go to them if anything is ever agreed. It's certainly not a good system, and it's certainly not working at the moment. So the last thing that we have got, therefore, is the trusty old European Union emissions trading scheme, covering 8 or 9 heavy industries. And in the EU ETS, if you pollute the atmosphere with 1 tonne of CO2, you have to buy an EUA. And the price of EUAs have gone from 5 to, I think it's about 80 euros per tonne now. So the 8 or 9 heavy industries are under pressure to reduce their emissions, and if you produce if you produce a waste that goes to landfill, and basically your waste has to be dealt with, and if that waste produces emissions, you have to pay the EU, let's say £80 per tonne, 80 euros per tonne. Now, the good thing is, for the paper recycling business, which is included in the EU ETS, they have around 100,000 tonnes, if it's a decent size, of secondary paper waste sludge. Stuff like Vogue magazines that can never, ever, ever be recycled. So they have to put it on farmers' fields and it rots there, or they stick it in landfill and it rots there, and it gives off vast amounts of CO2. So the Danes, through Enviroboard, www.enviroboard.com, have come up with a solution, and it's been in development 15 years, and this is it. It is a carbon negative, pretty tough, ouch, carbon negative building board. Absolutely brilliant, right? So being Danish, the amount of development that has gone into this is huge. Remember, the Danes gave us Lego. So this is fire resistant, it's insulative, it's strong. You can make prefab houses out of this, actually really strong. It's easy to work with. And it's smooth, so you can paint on it straight away. It doesn't need sanding down, and it's absolutely brilliant. So they're funding now. So Enviroboard.com, there's some crowdfunding people that have got involved, some institutional investment that's interested, but it is a brilliant solution. So go and have a look for that now. Now, the better news is that the incumbent is gypsum or plasterboard or sheet rock, right? This is where we mine rock, glue it together, put it into two paper sheets, and we sell it. Now, anyone that's tried to put a picture up and the whole thing cracks knows that this is very, very, very difficult to work with. So that is the incumbent. If any industry was ripe for disruption, it is building boards, and everybody wants to be doing their houses, well, redoing the inside of their houses, and you don't want to be working with plasterboard. You can work with this. Now, do take my word for it, but go and do your own research. This is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. It will be a price point that competes directly with it. In some instance, you only need one layer of this to two layers of gypsum, sheetrock, or plasterboard. And just remember, plasterboard, sheetrock, gypsum board, it was invented in 1888. The first production facility was put in New York in 1900s. Anyway, this basically, there's nothing to do with the waste. The waste is a liability. You're using a waste that nobody else will want because of the water content in a million years, and you're turning it into something that is pretty valuable. So that is the end of episode 4 of Green Deals. Go and have a look at Enviroboard. It's not Enviroboard. We've called it after the female form because it's much nicer than the male form. So it's Enviroboard. Thank you so much. Speak to you soon.